The prelim in Townsville was probably my best performance that I've ever had.
The Lane train. Shaun Lane has the Eels back on track ahead of the finals, and the back rower has revealed to 9 News the reason behind his remarkable resurrection.
The enigmatic Eels are suddenly looking primed for September. Shaun Lane
isn't he a weapon? Shaun Lane.
Ball around the corner. Gunderson in support. Lane rampaging down that right left edge.
Right against the grain. Lane keeps it going. Wonderful
Lane! Oh! I think he's hit the strike with this. This will be a try to Shaun Lane. 10 metres away from the line. Halfway through the set. Marty to Lane. Full time! Full time and the Eels are into the 2022 NRL Grand Final. A thriller. Parramatta win by 4.
And the Parramatta Lease Club's just exploded. Oh, they've gone nuts down there for there they are. Sterlo's in there somewhere for sure. That's a great effort, brilliant effort, gutsy effort by Parramatta. Outstanding rugby league by them for 80 minutes. That's one of the toughest games I've ever seen. They haven't played that
In their 6th visit to a season decider, an atmosphere like we have rarely ever seen.
When things are flying high, then it's all good, but life always has its peaks and its valleys, you know, so it's all about preparing yourself.
Well, an NRL season is the ultimate test of physical and mental endurance, and let's kick it off now. 2023 is underway. Good luck.
I instantly knew something was wrong, but I thought my face was in 2 pieces.
Lane's own mental strength was tested several times this year.
When I get injured, it's not about the fact that I can't play footy anymore. It's just another challenge for me to overcome. And
Form last year, one of the best back rows in the competition. Some of the stuff he did last year was exceptional.
another injury comes along, then you just got to do the exact same thing, right? That's what life's about, enduring those hardships. And
yeah, you're right there. Devastating blow. He's had a wretched run of injuries this year that started through the trial period. Last, Townsend. Oh, Lane! And he cops one too, and he's been hurt. Now. Yeah, they're going to tip this. Lane was a bit of bother.
After a season with plenty of setbacks, I was left unsatisfied and hungry to improve. I decided to plan a trip that would better prepare myself for the mental challenges of footy.
When you have a season that goes for a grueling 27 weeks and you have not only all of the on-field battles that you have, but then the off-field struggles too, having to deal with not getting the result or injuries, things like that, it takes a toll on you mentally. So it's very important to have that time away and that break period just for your psyche and to get yourself back to a healthy baseline. And that's the only way you're able to operate really in a more effective way moving forward.
The trip would immerse me into the high-performance world of European sports. I would speak to world-renowned sports psychologists and athletes to learn what it takes to gain the mental edge. My main goals of this trip were to improve myself as a player, teammate, and person. I hope that by sharing these experiences, others may also learn some valuable lessons of their own.
One of my passions is psychology and learning and growing. I'm a really curious person, and I've always studied off the field, and I consider myself a lifelong learner. About a year ago, I really started to sit down and really think about like what I wanted to take out of my experience of being a professional athlete and being a professional rugby league player. It's an experience that not many people get to have, and I knew how privileged I am in life to be able to have this experience. And I think that if I can utilise the situation that I'm in to be able to take as much as I possibly can from it and learn and grow and apply that outside of football to try and potentially help other people, then that makes it all worth it.
I debuted for the Bulldogs in 2015 and I went really good that first year, but I think it kind of got to my head a little bit.
I think at that time, after I had achieved my goal of playing first grade, the childhood dream, that's when I started to become a bit complacent, didn't train as hard, and then ended up coming back to haunt me on the field a bit. So I didn't play for the Bulldogs again. I ended up going over to New Zealand, playing for the New Zealand Warriors for just that one season. And that's when the complacency really got to me. I only played 20 minutes of first grade over in New Zealand. And
I think it was when he was with Manly, Bob Fulton said to him, "I'm coming to watch you play today. If you play well, I'm going to put you in first grade." And he went, "Okay, this is a legend." And he had a blinder. So he went into first grade, and then it's been upwards from there.
After I went to the Warriors, went to the Seagulls, had 2 seasons there. The second year was kind of my breakout year. I got the top try scorer for Manly. From that good season, I managed to sign with Parra, and I've been here ever since. And yeah, I really love it here at Parra. It's become something that I always kind of just wanted in my football career, was a place that I could call home, that I belong to. Probably the most significant memory that I have from my NRL debut was not actually any moment on the field. It was walking over to my mum after the game and seeing her holding back tears and then me giving her a hug. That was something that was really emotional for me at the time, and that was more emotional for me than actually playing the game itself.
When he was a little boy, he was a giant. And he was scoring 5 or 6 tries a game, and yeah, who wouldn't like it when you're winning and you're scoring all the tries?
A huge part of my childhood was when I remember winning the under-6s grand final, and my dad was my coach, my mum was my manager. They were secretary involved with the club's sport, and then my brother played for the older teams and would hang around at the clubhouse of the local football team until, I don't know, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night sometimes on a Sunday afternoon, and the kids would have fun playing footy together while the parents sat around and had a few drinks together. And then I'd play footy with my cousins too at the same time, and then my aunties and uncles would be there. That's how our family connected, was through sport. And I would go around talking about how I scored 5 tries in my under-6s grand final, like my whole childhood, because it was so important to me. But yeah, that was good. So yeah, there's like this shrine of Shaun at home, not the wall, it's a shrine. And I'm like, can you take this down? Like, come on, seriously, this is embarrassing for me. But I still continue to give her every jersey. And I think the one thing we identified actually was the Ken Thornett medal wasn't there. So over Christmas, I actually gave her the Ken Thornett medal as a Christmas present. So now she has the Ken Thornett medal on the Shrine of Shaun. That's the good shot. Oh, that's it. That's the money shot. That's the money shot. Laney drone dishes. Huh? Probably about 8-10 months ago, I sat down, and I think I'd just come off my jaw injury, and I understood the importance of doing this. I kind of had words written around throughout the house to remind me of these things, but I thought I wanted to be more intentional with it. So I went to Officeworks and I bought the big cork board and bought a laminator, a bunch of photo papers and stuff like that, and went and started printing a few things out. And it all starts with the main thing in the middle here, which is my purpose, which is what drives me every day. And I identified 5 values in which I prioritize the most to
try and achieve this every day. And you can see them on the outside here. They're the big words. Crazy photos with my friends, and G's in there a few times. Dill Bags makes a little appearance there as well. Love Dill. When you're 6'6", you're a big person, and it's difficult to actually fit everything into a suitcase. So, and I'm a shoe nut. You can see around my room here, I have like 50 pairs of shoes. If I'm going through a bit of a rough patch, I'd probably journal every day. If I'm having a good time and there's nothing really to talk about, and then I'm probably like once a week, and I just kind of check in with how I'm feeling, making sure I'm still doing the right things for my well-being. So yeah, journaling's a really powerful tool. Got to remember these. This is there. Had my holiday outside of the filming. I went on a break after the season was done, and I travelled a little bit of Italy, and I travelled a little bit of France and England, so I could refresh from the difficult season that I had, and I could just get away from it all, which is very necessary after stressful times that I've been in.
I'm from Australia.
The struggles I've had in the game and in my life have not been physical. It's always been mental or emotional, things of that nature, psychological. So when I look to better myself, it's in that regard, really. The whole experience of being a professional athlete is one of the most unique things that I think can happen in this world. You know, you just get put into the limelight at a young age. Some boys are 18 years old, and all of a sudden they become revered like they're gods and have to deal with all of this high stakes situations that humans just aren't really meant to be put in. And you're running out in front of a crowd of, if it's the 2022 grand final, 80,000+ people.
And a nation waits on in anticipation. Clint Gutherson kicks off the grand final of 2022.
And suddenly you're expected to perform at such a level that no one expects you to mess up at all. And that's just not what humans do, you know, humans mess up all the time. So the whole experience of being a professional athlete is something that's taught me how to deal with challenges, struggles, and I owe a lot of the success in my life to being able to overcome in these challenging times and learn lessons of resilience from a lot of the people who I've had around me. The first thing that I noticed about Amsterdam was how many bikes there are. That was pretty crazy. Apparently there's more bikes than people in Amsterdam.
Oh look, my bike. My bike that I left.
The drivers are so careful with the bikes over there, whereas like here, you feel like the drivers are aiming for the bikes a little bit.
Anyways guys, let's get out of here, eh? The Dom. It's pretty cool. Unique, very unique.
The second thing I noticed was everywhere you went smelled like weed.
That like almost hit me. I swear, this smoke.
I was thinking, like, I wonder if this can cross over into my drug test or something. Like, do I have to tell them I've been to Amsterdam?
I'm in need of some energy right now. I feel a bit lethargic after the flight. So luckily I found this amazing place to have a feed and a coffee. Let's go. 2 espressos, please. I was having lunch with Timmy Manor and he mentioned to me that Matthew Ryan, the Australian Socceroos goalkeeper, lives here now and plays for the local team. We reached out to him and I've been chatting to him for the last 2 weeks every day, so we're good boys now. We're going to watch his game tonight. This is going to be my first football, soccer match in all of Europe.
Sorry, Matty, bro, they didn't have the goalkeeper jersey, the shirt, but it's the spirit that counts, bro. RZ, is there any songs that RZ sing, like that I can have a chant in the game? Do you know
There are some songs, but I don't know if you can learn it.
Is it in English?
No,
Okay.
It's typical Dutch.
Okay, typical Dutch. So you're one of the newest players, is that right?
Yeah, I arrived in January, so there's a couple of boys that have arrived since me, that arrived just now in the summer, in June, July and stuff. Okay. But they're yet to get their picture up there just now. I grew up in Oakhurst, Plumpton, just sort of in the outskirts of Mount Druitt, so I guess I'm smack bang in the middle there between, I guess, Penrith and Parramatta territory, and I swayed to the Eels. Something about, I guess, the blue oval, the blue and gold that drew me, you know. My approach, you know, around the mental side of the game and dealing with everything and the mentality, it's never to be too up and never to be too down. And at the end of the day, professional sport, it's not easy, you know. Like, you got 2 teams and individuals in each team trying their heart out to win a match. More often than not, you know, you can play the match many times and there'll be a different result because the margin of difference is so small. So, you know, that's the way it goes. And yeah, like I said, I think it's important not to get too disappointed and too down about anything. You just cop it on the chin, learn from it and move forward.
Trying to stay neutral is really important for me too. I think in the past when things would go really well, I'd probably get a bit of a big head and that would actually make me become complacent and then not work as hard on my game. There were other times where if something bad happened that I'd get too down in the dumps and then that would also have a negative effect. So I think staying neutral has been really good for me. And then, like you said, just staying present and staying in the moment and moving on from what's just happened and thinking about what you currently have to work towards and what you can do moving forward. I think that's something that has actually worked for me as well. So it's cool to see that there's an overlap there between footy and soccer as well. So that's pretty cool.
I think the mental side, you know, I think if that is faltering, then everything else falters. So for me, it's the most important thing, and you can actually work on it and train on it to be even more resilient and to be even more, you know, have that killer instinct to be a winner and have that winning mentality. And that's where I feel I'm at today. You know, it's been a constant progression and development for me, and yeah, I'm always learning and continuing to try and make it even better.
The thing for me was, I think, as well, with every step of the way, if I then had failures, it's not to let the failures and the negativity take over.
Define you, huh?
Yeah, exactly right. Because negativity can be so resounding in your mind. Like, it's easy to pay attention to bad things when they happen, but I think having that self-belief and constantly reminding yourself of what you're good at and things that you've done really well in the past, that's probably what's helped me the most.
For him to invite us into what he does and his mentality, the things that he's learnt throughout his career, for him to be vulnerable like that and open up who he is to the world too, I was so appreciative of that, and I can't commend him any more for what he's done and be more appreciative. And I think I've actually formed a good friendship with him, honestly, because we have similar values and goals in our lives. The experience of having my dad who's been dealing with depression his whole life and me having to grow up around that, that's been the whole driving factor behind a lot of things that I do in my life. That's just kind of been ingrained in who I am since the time that I found out about his mental illness. Even times when I was a bit lost, that was always kind of there in the back of my mind. And all I've had to do is come back to those moments and the lessons I've learnt through that journey that then provides me with more motivation and a sense of purpose to then go about living my life in the most meaningful way that I can. I can remember playing a game of cards or something. My dad likes to play cards. It's something him and his family have always done. So we're doing that at the kitchen table and he gets a call from his mum and he picks up the phone, and without even anything else being said, I think we actually had a laugh before he went to the phone. We did something playing the cards and it was something silly, and then we actually shared a laugh together. One second he's sharing a laugh with his child and the next moment he's on the phone to his mum and then he's hysterical in tears and he's talking on the phone to her, yelling, saying that he wanted to die. And that was in the space of about 5 seconds, which is kind of representative of how people can hide their mental illness or the struggles that they're going through, right? I was like, how does someone not want to be alive? It didn't really, when you're 9 or 10, whatever it is, right? Later on, my mum had to explain to me that my dad's got mental illness called depression and it makes him really sad, and yeah, sometimes he feels like he's just really not happy and doesn't want to be alive anymore, and I just didn't understand. For years of my life, even to this day, that's been something that stayed with me, that's been a huge memory. But yeah, I had to tackle these thoughts and contemplate things of like death and suicide, stuff like that, ever since I was young. The way that I've learnt to deal with those feelings is sadness is a very normal reaction to things, to challenges that occur in people's lives, and it's inevitable that everyone's going to feel sad at some part in their lives, and it's going to be frequent too, most likely. So you've got to learn to accept it. You've got to learn to accept everything that you come across in life, because there's no benefit that's going to arise from resisting things, especially feelings. Feelings are just a natural part of the human experience, so you have to accept it. You can't resist it. That only leads to more grief. So that's a huge part of how I deal with a lot of my emotions or difficulties or challenges, is through acceptance. And I guess that's been a thing constantly in my mind that has then caused me to try and pursue different things, to give myself more purpose, more meaning in life, more happiness. Within his position, obviously, it's easy for someone to be more selfish and concerned about their own issues. Something like this doesn't really get more confrontational for someone who has those issues, right? For me to be able to get his permission to talk about it, to help others, it's just really speaks to like the type of man that he is, and I'm super proud of my dad for doing that. Paris was just one of them cities that I can imagine there's only a few in the world where you really are left pretty gobsmacked by all the things that you can do and see. You could spend a very long time in Paris and still not be able to do everything there that's really, really noteworthy, and it's just so immersed in history from all these different periods.
I make an absolute mess of the French accent. I was looking at photos of the Eiffel Tower on Instagram, expecting like a lovely, lush bit of grass that we can come and have a picnic, and this is the actual reality of the situation.
I think it looks the best at night time when it's all lit up in the lights. It's really cool to see then. The trip across to see some world-renowned experts in their field was just something that appealed to me enormously, and understanding the amount of experiences that they would have had with different athletes, different professionals, and even themselves, the strategies that they've come up with to try and help those athletes to help other people that they might have had to deal with.
L'amour avec un grand A, celui qu'on se sert. C'est après les mômes qu'il commence pour de vrai. Dans les débuts, c'est l'envie d'hobby. On se promet tout, et ça pour la vie. Les mots les plus doux, les projets d'avenir. Commence petit déj au réveil dans le lit.
I was looking out across this field, and there were 400 young fellas in the minor league complex. And I asked the manager at the time, hey, how many of these guys make it to the big leagues? He's like, oh, about 7%. I was like, okay, well, they all look the same. You know, they're all physically in good nick, and they can all throw hard and hit the ball a mile. What's the point of difference? And he said, oh, it's all upstairs. And I just looked back and said, what do you do about that? He's like, oh, nothing, and walked away. And it was sort of like this light bulb explosion moment, like we have all these people with massive potential. They can't translate it into delivering when it matters. And we know they have all the physical and skill components to get it done, but they've got this big mental component and we're not helping them. And so that sort of stimulated for me, and it's probably always been the stimulation is probably based out of care. Like there's nothing more I hate in watching someone I know could be better than they are and not getting the help to get to where they need to.
I rewind back to 2016 and I contrast that with a photo of myself presently. And the two photos aligned side by side, what's the difference? Nothing. Physically, I'm exactly the same. And so along the way, throughout my journey, I've learnt the importance of my mental well-being, getting on top of the necessary mental skills, behaviours that are necessary to foster performance. I've come off the back of a season where I've had 3 quite long-term injuries in a row. Before that, I was voted the club's best player. I'm trying to move forward into this year with a real growth mentality. And what piece of advice would you give for me as a player?
Adversity is normal in life. It's what you do with it. Like adversity and suffering and pain are part of the life experience. I think adversity, disappointment is the greatest fuel for growth if you use it well. It's when you go back of having non-outcome success measures. The hardest thing for any athlete is it's an effort-reward relationship. So you put in effort, you expect a reward. Most of that is selection. So like 51 players and 23 get selected. What's the reward for the other 28? We create a whole different way of looking at success, so we call it the man in the mirror weeks. At the end of the week, on Friday when you take off your gear and you've had your shower, can you look at that man and feel proud? That's your reward. And regardless of whether you play or not, that's your reward. And yes, they want to play and they're desperate to play, and you shouldn't undermine their desire to play. But at the same time, is that if you don't have non-outcome success measures that you can control, because feeling proud about yourself is something you can control, whether you're selected or not often isn't. So if in your case it was injuries, in other people's cases it's the coach's opinion of their ability. But so that you're putting your sense of success in the hands of someone else or other mitigating factors rather than go, what can I control this week that should be the source of where I measure my own success. So to me that's almost 100% internal.
Oh, he's going dead straight. I went the wrong way.
Take a football club like Palace, I mean, if there's a single area in the country that you'd want to be based, it probably would be here. South East London, where you have a real diverse cultural background, lots of different ethnicities. A recent study showed that over 33% of all players currently playing professional football in England are black, Asian, or minority ethnic Spain. And that's a huge change from where we were 10, 15 years ago. And we're in the hotbed here of the southeast of London, which is a wonderful catchment area for a club like us. The last 20 odd years I've been working pretty much with several different sports teams and a number of different individual athletes. It probably goes into the hundreds now, ranging from dressage riders through to cage fighters. So a real extreme in different types of athletes.
Left! Inside shoulder! Yeah! Come on in, brilliant! Yes! Great goal,
I use what's called a 5 C's model. So the 5 C's are commitment, communication, self-confidence, emotional control, and concentration. So you're trying to help facilitate their understanding and development of those are the skills that give them effectively a framework to operate from. If we can armour the kids and develop their understanding of how valuable some of those 5C principles can be, that at least provides them with a starting point.
So you go about coaching your athletes on an individual basis based around what you have identified in them as potential weaknesses or strengths.
So we'll profile them. We've developed our own profiling tool that identifies where they think they are across the 5 C's. We then get the coaches to profile them blind, without, in other words, having that data. We map one onto the other, and that gives us a picture of where the player is at and where the coach feels that player's at. So from an individual perspective, that gives me a starting point. So I can then start to develop psychological skills training with a player where the coach and maybe the player feels that commitment is a particular area that needs developing. I then run workshops with them throughout the year around the different C's, and then the second year is around some of these more bespoke areas, coping with pressure, dealing with adversity, setbacks, disappointments, super strengths. So you're hoping to arm them with some tools. The analogy we often use is around you're carrying sort of a mental skills toolbox around with you. You're not quite sure what tool you're going to need to use, but you know that you've got that tool or weapon in your armoury to use at any particular juncture. Forget about psychological skills training, forget about mental skills training, forget about profiling for one moment. For me, the biggest single ingredient that you need to be able to operate in the space I operate in is about building and developing that relationship with individuals. How are you going to change your behaviour or consider adapting or modifying a psychological skills strategy that you currently use if you don't actually feel that the relationship is in place to build that rapport and trust and safety and value that we have for each other? So for me, fundamentally, that is the most important ingredient.
Some of them like just walk in, some of them charge in. I feel like I'm a walk in type of guy. Oh, kind of in the area.
I think curiosity is about just being open to new experiences and new things, and I think that comes from my hunger to learn and to embrace my experience, my journey, just being a human really. Southern Tower is 102 metres, so that's 102. Something that I never would have really cared about years ago would have been history or culture, because I never really experienced any of that growing up. And I think that if you lose that curiosity in life, it opens you up to going through bad times and not experiencing new things, and then you can kind of feel stagnant and like you're not progressing. It's about growth and learning. That's what curiosity means to me. And then now I actually get to go over to Europe and learn a lot about history and culture, and I actually enjoy getting around to see churches and old architecture and learning about the culture of the different places that we're going to and stuff. So I think the more I apply curiosity to all different areas of my life, the more I enjoy things, and the happier I am, the more fulfilled I am.
How you doing? How you doing, mate?
We all talk about high performance, but our brain was built for safety. So our brain doesn't like novel things. It doesn't like uncertain things. It doesn't like things that are out of our control. So every time we get those factors, you know, what's going to be the result? Am I going to be fit for this match? Why does my boss want to see me? All of these uncertain new situations that come at us, if they're constantly swirling around our psychological environment, then we can feel like we can't cope with those pressures, and they move from being a normal work challenge to a threat. And it's not a threat like we used to have as cavemen and women, a threat to our lives. It's a threat to our self-esteem and our pride and professional reputation.
It is pretty full on, right? Like
it is. Like you've got all
you're
these
just in the
people
spotlight.
down here, and like you know what I mean. You got everyone all dressed up as whatever.
I feel like I'm going to be intimidated just with no one in the arena.
I looked at games that I won,
yeah,
and looked at games where I played bad and lost. The biggest for me was I always tried too hard.
Yeah,
that was the biggest,
yeah.
Always. And what it was is I'm so serious in the practice room. I'm so serious when I come up to here. I'm on the walk on. I'm like, all right, all this is going to happen for me. Just keep doing it and keep trying hard, and then I'm putting my head down, and then I get angry and like no emotion, no nothing.
You're in your own head a little bit.
But then when I watch the things that I won, the big tournaments and stuff, I was being a clown. I was literally, I was up there, I was joking with him, I was doing that backstage, I was doing a little dance and a jig, and it's like I had some fans that were in the front row would like, you know, geeing it all up. And I watched them games back, and I'm like, I need to be happy on stage and enjoy the moment. Because the more happy I am, the better I play, and it shows. And I've been doing these walk-ons that have been pretty outrageous on there, or a bit different than normal anyway. But what it's helped, it's literally helped me going from that serious cat that's up there. That's all gone already before I get on stage. So I have to settle when I get on here, rather than get on here and already be settled and trying too hard before I even throwing a dart. So that's taken that tension away from the start.
So you're easing that pressure through having some fun. Just being in the moment instead of actually being in your own head.
You know, there's a big model in psychology, isn't there, around control the controllables. I can't control the result, but I can control my positioning, my communication, my body language, my fitness, you know, my warm-up, all of that stuff. But actually part of it as well is that accepting that you can't control everything, and being instinctive and letting it adapt and be free and explore.
I feel like when I look out in the crowd when I play rugby, I'm immersing myself in the environment so that no matter what happens, it's like I've made myself okay with whatever happens. I don't care if I get booed because I no longer fear the judgment of the crowd. I no longer fear the environment. That's kind of what I'm hearing from you as well. So I think it's...
And sometimes you can feed off it as well, can't you? You know what I mean? You get booed and you're like, oh yes, I will shut you up. Bang! You know, like take that, take that. Like, and I did a lot of that. And it's all banter and all that at the end of the day. But like, you're there to do a job, and it is serious business. But I think you just got to find yourself as a person to know what you got to do.
When you stop thinking about the outcome or the prize money or whatever, that's when you actually are like playing your best.
It's like 20% is like the darts, and like 80% is between the ears.
It's a big journey, right?
But it's always in the back of your mind. You subconsciously think, you know what I mean, not thinking about it.
You just got to deal with it.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a journey, mate.
Yeah,
it's a journey. Sounds difficult. I'm glad I'm not playing darts. Glad I'm just big enough to run at people. Do you want to show me like what you do?
Go for it. Here we go.
You have some. Are these yours?
So these are mine, but I don't know.
They got the special. Yeah, all right. I'll just take the darts.
I'll give you these ones back. We have
Oh, not bad.
That's a good one.
Oh, see, just reps. That's what it's all about.
That's it. Get that muscle memory down pat. And you think about it and you're playing all the time, then it becomes second nature. So you don't have to think. That's the best thing about a dart player. Just don't think and you're a champion.
Can't stop those thoughts though.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? That's if you can drown them out, then happy days. But that's the thing. If you can learn to forget in darts, that's a big thing.
I think that's with all sport, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Learn to forget.
But, you just got to learn, don't you? Always learning. Like every game's a learning curve.
That's it.
There's an opportunity for you to do a walk-on tonight.
Do a walk-on.
Get the full experience.
So you and one of the
Leicester Tigers, rugby union players. So we'd both be doing a walk-on, and then you'd separately, you'd do a walk-on, and then you'll come up for a bit of a challenge with the crowd, here.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Michael Smith, let's go! Come on, Michael!
If you're prepared to fail, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
So I just literally prepare to win every single time.
Yeah.
We both have 3 darts, and it's about who's the better player.
Yeah.
If you don't think you're good enough, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
So
Confidence.
The minute you think you're going to lose, you're going to lose. Literally the last, so maybe 5 years, that's where it's come into it now, like the mental side of it. I used to be like a massive baby on stage when I just lose my rag straight away. And I just want to throw my darts away and get off, but it's never over till that last 100%. I think you'll do it again.
Well, German Price is involved in our first quarter-final tonight against Martin Schindler, who's the first German to ever make it to this stage of the World Grand Prix.
In the last year, 2 years, I started to develop a more in-depth approach where I actually sat down and fully in detail went through the things that I value in life and what I'm trying to achieve in my life and not just in my sport. Because at the end of the day, the sport, although it does bring me a sense of fulfillment and happiness, is only one element of that. So I wanted to align all of my life with one single purpose, with one single goal. I now represent that with a big vision board that I have in my room, and I look at that every day. I look at my values, the way that I get to my purpose, and it has a bunch of photos, quotes, things that I might look at for inspiration or motivation or as reminders for me to continually live by those values and to live through that purpose. And I think that just provides me with an enormous amount of strength to do what I need to do in my life. Well, I try and look at this every day, and each day you face your own struggles and different challenges. So I've tried to really expand everything I can onto this board to remind me constantly, whatever it is that's on my mind, that the answer will lie here somewhere on my board, and I'll be able to pull myself out of, if I'm in a little rut or if I'm not feeling as good, that I can look up here and I can feel happy and reminisce on good times that I've had with my friends, or if I feel like something unfair has happened to me, I look at what's happened with my friend Kurt, and it reminds me that, like, I'm in such a privileged position and I'm so lucky to be where I am. And I think we all are.
Is this one 11? Is this one 11?
When my nephews were born, suddenly family dinner shifted from being about footy as much to about being about the kids. It shifted my perspective to really understanding, like, everything I'm doing with football, everything I'm doing with even this, right? Like, the experiences of it that bring me joy, that's still not the most important thing in my life. The most important things in my life are the connections that I have with my family. And straight away from the time they were born, I just felt this strong, deep connection with them. And, like, I just love them so much that it was just really a crazy experience for me to go through.
And then above that, I have my good friend Kurt, who's he's a quadriplegic. He got injured in a
a football-related accident years ago now, and he's been battling that for a long time. But he's such a trooper and he's such a positive person. It's amazing, like the things that I've learned from his experience.
And he's got a present for me.
Something like mate.
He bought everyone the same present.
Honestly,
yeah,
no way. I found this awesome book, mate.
What is
it? It's this cool kids book, mate. Oh yeah, wow. I know you don't have a kid yet, but maybe one day. Happy birthday, mate.
How good's this? What a present.
It's meant to be one of the best.
By Alex Johnson.
One of the best kids books, yeah. Yeah, I think going to Endeavour Sports High School, obviously both going there for sport. Yeah, we basically became friends straight away at school. Sort of similar people, a bit different, bit out there. Funny blokes sometimes, I think so anyway. And yeah, we connected doing other things. We tried to make YouTube videos and stuff, you know, stupid things at this house. It was our year 12 sort of last day of school assembly. We did like a little cabaret dance routine. It's called Endeavour Queens. It's 2012, so you could probably search that up on YouTube. Shaun Lane was the star, front and centre, so there you go, you can play some footage of that.
Maybe we don't include this, I don't know. And my high school was really good at bringing together our group of players and creating a sense of connection. We'd call ourselves the Endeavour family and would wear wristbands together. My wristband broke, unfortunately, but I still wore it for years and years outside of finishing high school. So Kurt was a part of that team, and we formed connections in that team that still continued to this day, still very strongly, like mine with AJ. And it was so tragic what happened with Kurt. It just kind of was one of them moments that I'll always look back on in my life that shook up how I look at the world and how my perspective of the world and myself is. He got injured on a Sunday, and then the news kind of came out about what roughly we could expect with his injury and recovery, and if there was the chance of it, things like that. And I think it was on Thursday of that week I got told I'll be debuting for the Bulldogs.
Well wrapped up here. A debutant is preparing to come on the field, Shaun Lane. Let's head down to Darren Lockyer sideline.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing Shaun Lane come on the field.
Here's the debutant, Shaun Lane. Shaw's 195 centimetres and 110.
And so it was coincidental, it happened at the same time as me achieving my childhood dream, that he had everything taken away from him. So yeah, that was very difficult. But it's just by chance that I'm living this life and Kurt's stuck in a wheelchair. So like for me to sit around and mope about things that happen to me in my life when they're not going the right way that I want them to, like that's not important. Like have some perspective, Shaun, you know, that's what I try and tell myself.
We have our group chat, and you know, whatever's going on in our lives, or even talking about other people, he always puts in his 2 cents about what he thinks is going on psychology-wise, and gives us pointers, what's going on in our life. I guess if we need a bit of help, he's always one of the first people to say, oh, why don't you try this, why don't you try that.
Alex Johnston! Johnston has scored! Souths have got the first try!
I made my debut before him, and my debut year in 2014, I was lucky enough to win the grand final, and it wasn't until after the game and I went to the boys' chat and there's videos of Shaun absolutely blind, shirt off, carrying on whenever I scored and when we won. So he's always been very supportive. We've been very supportive of each other, and yeah, super stoked that we're both living our dream.
We're all lucky to have each other. Yeah, I love them, and I don't think I would be where I am without the support of my friends.
You have to explore. I always try and take it back to, first settlers or whatever landing on an island. You don't know what's over the top of the ridge. You don't know what's the other side of this river, but you can't stay where you are. You've got to keep moving and keep exploring. And I guess being comfortable finding out that you're maybe not good enough, or that you do make mistakes, and that you do step on the wrong things and eat the wrong berries, and have all those negative experiences as you go. It's that journey that teaches you what your correct path is and what your strengths really are, and that's when you really come to life. So there's definitely a sense of letting go in society that I think, whatever it is, the stress levels, the pressure, the busyness that we all feel, we try and stay safe, and it's the wrong thing because you just get frustrated.
But everywhere you go in Europe, there's a 2,000-year-old building 200 meters away, and you're like, what the hell? It was a crazy experience in terms of getting to witness that type of powerful connection to a place and to a culture and to a people.
Oh, I got to try this roll. It's got a herring roll. Done. Straight away. Herring sandwich, please. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of fish in general, but I'll give it a crack. Yeah, it tastes like raw fish. Oh, I'm not a fan. Do you like? It's like normal around here, I think. Like raw fish on a sandwich, like exactly what you'd imagine, like real fishy. So it's a herring sandwich with onions and pickles. You got to try it though. Just in case my first bite wasn't good, I go for a second one. Oh yeah, I'm not a fan. Oh. I'm not having a third bite. I'm not having a third bite. Oh. No, I can't do it. I'm barely finishing this one.
I've always been a playful person. Playfulness is just how I relax and enjoy the present moment. It's just part of who I am, and so just being really joyous in my approach to life, trying to have a laugh with the people who I care about.
It's for my mum, not for me.
What's your favourite Disney thing, lady?
Marvel is my favourite Disney thing. Oh, Star Wars is up there. I do love all Disney though. My favourite movie used to be Hercules when I was a kid. And it's now Avengers Endgame.
This is disappointing.
Where is it?
Going into the city centre of Barcelona is pretty cool. It's the way that the buildings are constructed. Everything's really uniform and orientated to look a specific way. I think there's these shots of Barcelona overhead which really showcase how cool it is. And then it all leads towards the massive church in the middle of it, the Sagrada La Familia, which is this huge sandstone building that you can go and you can watch them still. They're still constructing it to this day. It was one of them sites that really just leaves you quite speechless and feeling quite insignificant to know how many different generations of people could have been alive to witness the construction of this one building. It was pretty amazing stuff. While I was in Barca, I was able to go and watch a few games of sport, luckily in the same day. And when we went and watched the female soccer, it was this big population of fans who remained loyal to the team and who would continue to uphold these chants that they would just repeat at all of the games. There was this passionate group of loyal fans who would show up with drums, and they're just unrelenting. They refuse to stop making noise the entire time because they knew it builds that sense of belonging to all the people in the crowd. While we were watching the basketball, the Barcelona team was actually down by quite a bit. The loyal fans up in this top rafters section never stopped drumming and chanting the entire time. By the time it got to the fourth quarter, they actually started to make a bit of a run. And that started to spark the energy of the entire crowd. That's when everyone started getting behind it. And I can't help but feel that this little fan section up in the rafters that refused to stop making noise the entire time had a role to play in that.
The first sporting event that I went to was actually not in the filming. It was a volleyball game in Italy, and volleyball's quite big in Italy. But it was an indoor stadium, so it was really loud. And then Italy was playing in the European final against France. It's probably their biggest rival in world sport. And from the moment I walked in, from the moment they announced the teams, and they all started singing in the crowd different Italian songs and chanting. Free From Desire actually came on. And it was so ridiculously loud, I just knew France is not winning this game. There's no way. Because it was just 100% Italy, and they had flags of Italian flags that everyone was waving around. I went to European handball. I thought I'd just walk into a small gymnasium and be real quiet. And then the PSG fans walk out, and it's the exact same fan base as the PSG soccer team. And it was just this enormously loud drumming the entire game, just did not stop. And it was creating all these echoes and these chants the whole time. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's a pretty cool little town, not far away from Lyon. It's actually, the architecture is super unique. It's all made of this black volcanic rock. We're here to watch a game tonight, the local team Clermont versus PSG, so that will be cool to jump into the local soccer culture and the football culture and see what that's like. It's a sporting town that's known for its rugby history actually, so that's pretty cool. The local team's also blue and gold, but we'll get a good glimpse of the football team tonight, and this is the main monument of the whole city, of the whole town, so it's this big Gothic kind of church. It's pretty cool. I asked the cab driver on the way to our hotel who's going to win, and I asked if the local team has any chance, and he said no chance in hell, so I actually said zero. So 0 chance PSG are going to win. I don't think they have Mbappe, which is pretty sad for us to see, but they are stuck full of guns, so I think PSG win. But
I'll probably be wearing the local team's colours because I don't want to get stabbed.
That was insane. These guys were just dripping with sweat. Some of them didn't even watch the game. They just turned to orchestrate the next song and do the drumming and all these other things because they knew that that was important for the players. And the players showed how much they appreciated that fan base. And the fans truly had a great connection with the players because of it.
We've shown up to the rugby match, Australia versus Portugal, at this stadium in Saint Etienne, and I think that just really epitomised the importance of sport to this country and to this small town. There were less Portuguese fans to see their passion. The amount of noise that they were making was pretty unbelievable.
So that was really cool. And then obviously in sport, how passionate the fan bases are, it just feels like there's such a connection there. And I can just imagine from an athlete's perspective how empowering that would feel, because in Australia, I just don't really feel like the connection to fan bases, to audiences at grounds is as strong as what it could be. And so I think that was something I learnt while I was over there that could provide enormous practical use for us back here in Australia, and something that could be enormously beneficial. When our song finishes, there's no silence the rest of the game after that. And I'd love to hear chants and songs, everything, the whole time. I want to see some real singing, like proper chants. You're over in France, or I didn't get to go to an EPL game. I went to the darts though, and I went to a bunch of other football games while I was over in Europe. And there's a song for every single performer, a lot of the players. There's a song for all the teams, multiple, all these different weird ones, but it's good. It creates energy, and I wanted to be at the game just for the sake of the environment that it created.
We live in a world that's really digital, and a lot of people are constantly distracted by their phones and their devices. Sport is something that brings people together. It allows us to bond and embrace one another, and it's one way that my family has always connected and shown love. It's how I've formed many of my closest friendships as well. The thing about sport is, no matter what our background or our differences, it allows us to form those connections, those truly meaningful face-to-face connections that otherwise may never have existed. It was so amazing to see all of the green and gold, the Wallabies jerseys, sitting outside in these beer gardens in the main town square, and different groups of Australian fans and Portuguese fans, and then local French people were just sitting around and conversing. It was something that I'll remember for a long time. It was so enjoyable and made me proud to be an Aussie, to be there with my fellow countrymen supporting our own country in a country like France, which is on the other side of the world. play for the logo on the front and they'll remember the name on the back. Yeah, it speaks to the selfless nature of team sport. You can't have an individual goal that you're trying to achieve that clashes with the goal of what the team is trying to achieve. That's not what team sports are about. Team sports are about coming together, forming connections, and everyone getting over their own egos and their own desires and the selfish things that they're trying to do, and to make sacrifices for each other and to do things for another person in the pursuit of what a common goal is.
Take control of our last game.
Now we're thinking about what we're doing next. We've got 3 tackles. All right, let's in. I don't want them to win run ruck here. That's our goal to start. Yeah,
Nice, Laney.
Get back all the way along.
But I've seen him mature into a leader, and he's a real good mentor for our younger guys and be able to talk to them on every different level around experiences, but also around the whole leadership piece. A lot of blokes lead with bravado and in your face and, you know, and energy, and Laney's leadership is a lot calmer, his demeanour, and he still gets his message across, but he just does it a different way.
Yeah, no, I love the support Laney gives me off the field, on the field as well, and he's been awesome to get to know. He cares a lot about people, and he really wants everyone around him to feel good. So having him in our team has been awesome, especially on that left edge. You know, we've got an edge that I feel like is one of the best in the comps, and he definitely adds so much to that.
Just his whole attitude towards, you know, he had some tough times last year, and he's put it aside, and he's able to decompartmentalise that, you know, like how he does, and he's got his priorities here and other priorities there, and he's come back in the best shape that I've seen him, and that's obviously a good indication of his hunger and his desire to want to make the most of this year.
You want me to base that and try and get it?
I'll do it. I'll do it.
After that turn.
Yeah. Just keep basting. I know that no matter what happens here, that I'm going to have people who love me and support me, and that's all that I really need in my life, you know. And of course I've got the footy and I've got all these other things, but like you said, for me, football is a vehicle for me to get to where I want to get to in my life, and for me to express who I am, and that's exactly what this is all about.
And that's the great thing about it, which I love with guys like yourself. You also realise in that the key to be able to have the impact you want and it to be the vehicle that you need it to be is play good footy.
Happiness isn't just something that's given to us. Happiness is something that we need to earn. Like sport, life can be very difficult at times. But we can't control the hand that we're dealt in life. All we can control is how we respond to the challenges we face. Respond correctly, and difficult times can become another source of strength. Or learn a little more, or to just reach out for help. Because we're all in this together. My journey this off-season has shown that. And your journey can too.